Hello, Ray Phoenix here. Welcome to Let's Play Star Wars Battlefront Part 5. So now this time around, it's a different era. Now, as you know, the Republic won the Clone Wars, and the Republic became the great empire that rules over the entire galaxy. And a lot of people don't seem to like our new rule or our new order, so they're trying to run revolutions against us. But of course, we'll make sure none of them are successful. So we have some rebels that are out in the Dune Sea around here on Tatooine. So we're going to go and take out these rebels without a cause, and then we will, show them that they shouldn't be messing with us. Apparently there's also some secret plans that were stolen from us too, that have something to do for a Death Star that are being held out here somewhere. But we'll make sure the rebels don't do anything with those plans. And you see, look at that, rebels already. They have a large stronghold over there. Let's go and pick off these rebels. Look, they have all kinds of things. They're a very diverse force. They're the only real troops in this game that actually are supposed to be real people. Real people just join you. They're not like recruited units or clone troopers or elite military soldiers like what we technically are now. No, they're none of that. Instead, they're just average Joes that go off to battle, go off there, sacrifice their lives so they could save the galaxy or at least they think they're saving the galaxy from us. But we'll make sure they don't do that, because we have, my good sharpshooting skills on our side. I'm really good at shooting down these people, these, farmers, or these farmers, and what else do we have here? We have smugglers, we have all kinds of stuff on Tatooine. Tatooine is by far probably the most diverse planet in the Star Wars galaxy, mostly because about, all sorts of stuff comes to Tatooine. A lot of people find themselves here at some point or another, yet no one is really here voluntarily. It's kind of like my town almost, where it's like a small, somewhat peaceful seeming town, but it's actually filled with some of the worst gangsters imaginable. I don't know, it's only a matter of time before some kind of war breaks out in our town or something. There's some sort of war breaks out, because a lot of them unexpected towns or communities might break into war. I mean, like Detroit was the place to be in the 1920s, but now it's kind of a scummy place, or at least that's what I've heard. I don't know, I wouldn't mind actually visiting Detroit. Detroit actually seems like a nice place to visit. I probably will visit there eventually. And so now we took that command post. Remember, that was like their main central command post. And there's a third party in this battle, too, as you might notice. There's the Reds are the rebels, we're the Greens, the Empire. And then you notice there's the Yellow, because they have sand people fighting for them. The sand people, those things that are pretty fierce warriors. They're not allied of any side. They're like against both of the rebels and the Empire. They're against both of us. It's the third party in this battle. It's like 3 teams going against 1. And no, you can't really negotiate with sand people. They do make powerful soldiers, but you can't really negotiate with them. They're essentially wild animals. You're just gonna kill, and one reason why they're really angry at us people is because one Jedi came there a long time ago and killed off a bunch of their people. So yeah, so they're kind of pissed with us now because of that, because they're angry at us, because they think we did something to them. And so we seem to be advancing well here. As you can see, we're taking over their homestead. There's a home there. Someone must have given up their house so the rebels could use it as a stronghold, but now we own it now, which is good. And then it looks like we're, pushing them back into... Oh, look, I think those are sand people actually over there. Yeah, no, that wasn't sand. Or was that? I don't know. I can't tell from looking at this far back. All I know is my crosshair turns red. It means open fire. And always trust your crosshair, because your crosshair is never wrong. When it's red, it means that, there's bad guys around or enemies around. So there's a gonk droid, but it just respawns, so I don't think I need it. Okay? You could also zoom in a little bit on the enemies, too. If you press down the right analog stick, you could zoom in a little bit, but I don't really have much use for that, I don't think. I know. And so we went off, we killed off there. Where's British killing off? It's the same old stuff. It's a different era. We're technically the Empire now. It's a different era of Star Wars. And it still really is. It's a continuation of the other story that we were in before. And now this is also just, the same stuff pretty much. Just go and obliterate your enemy. What more is there to say? Well, actually, there is a lot more to say, because there was a lot of war involved with those sand people. I remember reading about a book called Star Wars Kenobi. It's a pretty much a novel. It tells what Obi-Wan did after he landed on Tatooine. He has to watch over Luke Skywalker. And Luke Skywalker is in the book very much. And it's a pretty much a book. It tells the stuff he did. It mentions stuff about sand people. That's where I learned the most about sand people from, was in that Kenobi novel. And so we're pretty much taking over this command post, which was yellow before, meaning it's owned by the sand people. It's owned by the third party. And if you remember, those cartoon rabbits we dealt with in the first level were also yellow as well too, because they're like a third party. They're not an actual official enemy, and then, oh, look at that. They killed us just before we captured the command post. Oh, look, it actually did allow us to capture command post. So it's only one. We have all the other command posts. The rebels only have one command post, and these sand people only have one command post. I don't even think sand people have their own garrison. They just infinitely spawn, but they can't have as many troops because, well, they don't have many command posts. They only have one command post. Like I said, they don't count towards garrisons. They might as well just be some extra troop, like this Geonosis they had on sand. And that Sarlacc thing got me. You know, that monster. Well, no, they could really do some executions there. They could take people there and allow them to get executed at that place. Actually sounds like a good idea. You know, some crime lord here should do that, maybe. And so, I'm just looking for the last command post here. Oh, look at that. I think we just won. Yeah, we did. We won. We had 160 troops left, and they had none. That's a really large margin. That might be the largest margin I've won by yet to date. And of course, I get public enemy. I'm obviously always public enemy. I always kill the post. Also in Deadeye 2, I always win those awards. Those are good awards to win. Even though they do jack all in this game in general is generally a lot more difficult than the second Star Wars Battlefront game, and that's because Star Wars Battlefront 2 has so many power-ups and awards and things you could win, but this game has none of those things, and those power-ups and awards you could win in the next game, they really help you get through the game, but this game has none of that. I bet if Star Wars Battlefront 2 was just like this game, it would be a lot more difficult. You can't sprint in this game either. There's lots of things you do in Battlefront 2 that you can't do in this game. So yes, if you took Battlefront 2 and gave it Battlefront 1 what Battlefront 1 could do in terms of awards, power-ups, and stuff like that, you'll find the game would be a lot more difficult. Probably would be harder than this game, actually. Well, the two I mentioned before, there's actually specific objectives you can get in Star Wars Battlefront 2 during the main story mode, but there's none of that in this game. It's just simply go and kill the enemies. But again, some people say simpler is better, and maybe that's the case. Sometimes it's easier to just go ahead and kill stuff. I mean, that's definitely the case of the Atari 2600. Well, I think all the best 2600 games are either clones of Pac-Man or Space Invaders. Partially because all the system was capable of. And people at the time thought, well, people like simple stuff. People are used to the simple stuff, so let's give them the simple stuff that people are used to. And it seemed to work out, pretty good. And look, the rebels have Wookiees on their side, too. Remember we had to deal with Wookiees before when we were droids going after them on that planet because they didn't pay their taxes? Well, looks like Wookiees are now fighting against us now, so that's kind of bad on our part. But then again, Wookiees are pretty large, and they're a big target as well, too, and they're easy to hit. And if you could really dodge their attacks, your Wookiees aren't that threatening in this game. They're a lot worse in the second game, I think. And look at that, there's a rebel stronghold here. They have a command post here, and a lot of them seem to like to spawn here. It seems to be their favorite spawn area. So I'm just gonna run in there and shoot them all down. This is all seems like I'm playing a strategy game. There is a lot of strategy, strategy elements in this game. It's supposed to be like a strategy game, kind of like Risk. You ever played that game Risk before? I used to play that game all the time in the 9th grade. It is a game that involves a lot of strategy and planning and plotting and dominating the world and taking over stuff. I would usually lose at it, but that's how it is. And there is a lot of chance in the game too, because it involves rolling the dice and seeing what the dice say. And to go by dice, it's kind of like gambling in a lot of ways. Only you're not winning any money, you're just winning non-existent countries in a non-existent world. But I guess that makes sense. We're kind of doing the same thing in this game too, so I guess it doesn't really make much of a difference at all then. So I'm still we took out a good amount of their troops in that command post. I don't think it's been taken yet. So let's go there and get that command post for them, because it's still important that we capture all the command posts. That's pretty much, that's how you're officially supposed to win the game. I'm not even sure if there's ever modes of battle in this game, because I remember there was capture the flag mode in the next game, which I don't really play that mode that much. Well, I actually got the PSP version of Star Wars Battlefront 2 first back in Christmas of 2008, but that game nearly broke my PSP. It actually made my PSP freeze and do nothing and become useless. I just let its battery drain out completely, and then after its battery drained out completely, I turned it back on. But thankfully my PSP wasn't destroyed from that. There was some glitch or flaw into it in Battlefront 2 for the PSP, which is kind of a rip-off compared to the PS2 version. The PS2 version has so much more content, has so much more planets, has a main story mode, has all kinds of awesome stuff that's not in the PSP version. Heck, even this is better than the PSP version of Battlefront 2. But the PC version of Battlefront 2 is by far the most definitive version. I'm considering getting the PC version of Star Wars Battlefront 2. It has these really large battles and things like that that are, as I said before, it's a really good game. It's really the best version. You could also get this on PC too, but I think the PC version is, the only real benefit to the PC version of this game is that it has mods. That's the reason why I think Simpsons Hit and Run on the PC is the best version of Simpsons Hit and Run, simply because it has mods where you could use mods. Speaking of mods, I'm considering doing a Let's Play of Simpsons Hit and Run for the PS2. Sorry, not PS2, for PC. Sorry, I have the PS2 version, but I'm not going to use that version. Someone asked me the Xbox version, but I don't know how that compares to. But I think the PC version is probably the best version to do a Let's Play of, simply because it has mods. And any good mods for Simpsons Hit and Run that I should play? If I'd like to do my Let's Play in, like, mods, I think about using the Mr. Bean mod or something like that, like playing the whole game as Mr. Bean, maybe even playing the Friday Night Funkin' mod, or maybe even the, whatever mods. I don't know, there's a lot of mods back then. New mods come out all the time. There's a whole Discord server I'm part of where that's dedicated to making mods for Simpsons Hit and Run. So yeah, that's how important mods are, because it's really easy to mod PC games. A lot of it too comes from like the coding languages of the games, because a lot of PC software is coded in Python or Java or even C+ language. But a lot of video game system programming languages are usually coded in like assembly language or some form of assembly language, which is a language that's been around for a long time, and it's been very, depending on what system it's to, but it's mostly all the same. I mean, it's very similar depending on what system, depending on what system it's on, but it's mostly very well similar. PC stuff is mostly coded, as I said, in Java and Python, C#. I was going to learn Java and Python, because that book that came out by Raspberry Pi is stuff on programming games. I want to make some new games based on my intellectual properties. It's going to make a Jason and Mason video game where you get to play as Captain Fusion, you get to throw re-recordings at his villain Classica, and it's pretty much like Namco's Galaxy, and I was thinking of making a game like that using my Raspberry Pi. It's also going to make a game featuring Bouncy the Ball, the Funny Birds Bouncy the Ball character, and I was going to have it be like a Pac-Man clone, but instead you play as Bouncy the Ball. I thought it would be a pretty entertaining thing to do in a game, especially as a Pac-Man clone. I mean, like why do you think so many games in, I thought I was just saying before, how do you think so many games in 2600 are Pac-Man clones, or Space Invaders clones? Because it's really easy to clone games like that, and add your own unique twists, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, because, I'm new to game making. I haven't really made any video games much before, so, speaking of video games too, I recently got my Captain Fusion character to appear in a game called Adam's Taxi Service. It's pretty much like a taxi game, like an overhead taxi game, kind of like what people thought Simpsons Road Rage in the Game Boy Advance should have been. An overhead 2D taxi game. Captain Fusion was going to be a character in that game, supposedly. I look forward to when that comes out. I'd like to do a video of that game, maybe. When it comes out, I'll probably play that game. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Captain Fusion in that game, because I know Captain Fusion's my best character. He's my most popular character, so I use him as a profile pic for the longest time, since 2017, when I started actively uploading stuff to YouTube and other stuff to the internet. And so, the battle is over, and we won, which is no surprise. This is Ray Phoenix, signing out.